You've been told your whole life that if you work hard, you'll be fine. That if you get a job, stay loyal, and grind it out for 40 hours a week, success will come. But look around. People in America are working more than ever and still struggling. Rent is rising. Gas prices fluctuate. Groceries cost more. And somehow, that paycheck you waited 2 weeks for disappears in just a few days. So here's the uncomfortable truth. A single income is no longer enough. And deep down, you already know this. That's why the idea of a side hustle isn't just a trend anymore. It's survival. It's freedom. It's the difference between being stuck and finally taking control of your life. But let's be real for a second. Not all side hustles work. Social media is full of people telling you to start drop shipping, trade crypto, or become an influencer overnight. They make it sound easy. Fast money. No effort. No risk. And that's exactly why most people fail. Because they chase hype instead of reality. So in this video, we're not talking about fantasies. We're talking about side hustles that actually work in America. Real strategies. Real income streams. Real people making real money. And more importantly, things you can start. Right now, let's start with something simple but powerful. Selling skills. Not products. Not trends. Skills. See, one of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking they need money to make money. You don't. What you need is value. Think about it. Can you write? Can you edit videos? Can you design graphics? Can you manage social media? Can you even organize information or do basic research? If the answer is yes, you already have a side hustle. Platforms like freelancing websites exist for one reason. Businesses need help, and they're willing to pay for it. And here's the crazy part. Most people never even try. They sit there thinking, I'm not good enough yet. But the truth is, you don't need to be the best. You just need to be better than someone who knows nothing. That's how it starts. Someone pays you $10 for a small task, then $50, then $100. And before you know it, you've built a skill that can pay you for life. Now let's talk about something even more accessible. Reselling. This is one of the oldest, simplest, and most overlooked side hustles in America. And it works. Why? Because people are constantly buying and constantly getting rid of things. That creates opportunity. You can go to thrift stores, garage sales, clearance sections, even your own house, and find items that are undervalued. Then you sell them online for a profit. It sounds basic, because it is. But don't confuse simple with easy. The people who make money with reselling understand one thing: attention. They know how to take good photos, write clear descriptions, and list items where buyers are already looking. And the best part? You can start with almost nothing. Some people literally start by selling things they already own. Old clothes, shoes, electronics, books, things sitting around collecting dust can become your first income stream. Now here's where things get interesting. The digital world. This is where real scalability happens. Because when you create something digital, you can sell it over and over again without running out. Think about digital products, ebooks, templates, guides, online courses. If you know something, anything, there's someone out there willing to learn it. And no, you don't need to be an expert. You just need to be one step ahead of someone else. That's it. Let's say you figured out how to grow a small social media page. You can turn that into a guide. Or maybe you learn how to budget your money better. That can become a digital product. And once it's created, it keeps working for you. While you sleep, while you're at your job, while you're living your life. That's the power of leverage. But let me be honest with you. None of this works if you're not willing to put in effort. Side hustles are not magic. They don't replace hard work. They redirect it. Instead of trading time for money, you start building something that can grow. And growth takes time. That's where most people quit. They try something for a week, maybe 2, and when they don't see instant results, they stop. But success doesn't work like that. You don't plant a seed today and expect a tree tomorrow. You water it. You protect it. You stay consistent. And eventually, it grows. Here's another truth most people won't tell you. Your first side hustle probably won't be your last. And that's okay. Because the real goal isn't to find the perfect hustle. The real goal is to start, to learn, to fail, to adjust. Every attempt teaches you something. Every mistake makes you sharper. Every small win builds confidence. And over time, you become someone who knows how to make money, not just earn it, create it. Now imagine this. Instead of relying on one paycheck, you have two streams of income, then three, then maybe even more. One covers your bills, another pays your debts, another goes into savings, and suddenly you're not stressed anymore. You're not trapped. You have options, and options are power. But none of this happens if you stay where you are, comfortable, waiting, scrolling, watching other people win while you do nothing. At some point, you have to decide, are you going to keep consuming, or are you finally going to start creating? Because the truth is, opportunities are everywhere in America, but they don't come to people who wait. They come to people who move. So here's your challenge. Don't overthink it. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Pick one idea, just one, and take action today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because every day you delay is another day you stay stuck. And deep down, you know you're capable of more. Most people don't fail because side hustles don't work. They fail because they quit too early or they picked the wrong game. So now let's go deeper. Let's talk about side hustles in America that are not just real, but proven. And we're starting with something that has created thousands of everyday earners, the gig economy. This is one of the fastest ways to start making money in the U.S. because it doesn't require a degree, a huge investment, or years of experience. It just requires action. Apps like ride-sharing, food delivery, and task-based services have completely changed how people earn. You can literally decide today that you're going to make extra money tonight. That level of control is powerful. But here's what most people get wrong. They treat it like a job instead of a strategy. They log in, work random hours, and hope for the best. That's not how you win. The people who actually make good money in the gig economy understand timing. They know when demand is highest. Early mornings, lunch hours, late nights, weekends. They don't just work harder. They work smarter. And they track everything. Miles, expenses, time. Because at the end of the day, it's not about how much you make. It's about how much you keep. Now let's talk about something that's exploding right now. Content creation. And no, this doesn't mean becoming a celebrity. It means documenting, teaching, or sharing something valuable online. Look at what's happening. Every single day, millions of people are scrolling, searching, watching. They want information, entertainment, solutions. And if you can provide any of those, you can build an audience. And once you have attention, you have opportunity. But here's the truth most people don't like to hear. You won't get views at the beginning. You won't go viral overnight. And nobody will care at first. That's normal. Every successful creator started with zero. 0 followers, 0 likes, 0 support. The difference is they kept going. They posted when nobody was watching. They improved when nobody was clapping. And eventually, people noticed. Now think about this strategically. If you combine content creation with a side hustle, you multiply your results. For example, let's say you're reselling items. You can create content showing what you find, how you price it, how much you profit. Now, you're not just making money from selling products. You're building an audience that trusts you. And that audience can turn into even more income. Affiliate links, sponsorships, digital products. This is how smart people stack income streams. They don't rely on one thing. They build systems. Let's move to another powerful side hustle. Service-based local work. This one is extremely underrated, especially in America, because people there value convenience. They will pay you to save time. Cleaning, car washing, lawn care, moving help, basic repairs. These are not glamorous, but they pay. And here's the advantage: low competition. Most people ignore these opportunities because they're too focused on online money. But while everyone is chasing trends, there's real money being made in local services every single day. You don't need a big brand. You don't need followers. You just need to solve a problem. Start with one client. Do a great job. Get a review. Then another client. Then another. That's how it grows. Now let's talk mindset, because this is where everything either works or falls apart. You cannot approach a side hustle with a weak mindset. You can't say, I'll try this for a few days and see. That's not commitment. That's curiosity. And curiosity doesn't build income. Consistency does. You need to give something enough time to work. Weeks, months, not days, because results are delayed. Effort comes first. Reward comes later. That's the rule. Always. Another mistake people make? They chase too many things at once. Today it's drop shipping. Tomorrow it's crypto. Next week it's freelancing. They never stick long enough to see results. So instead of making money, they stay stuck, confused, overwhelmed, starting over again and again. Don't do that. Pick one lane. Focus. Get good at it. Then expand. That's how you build momentum. Let's get real for a moment. Side hustles are not just about money. They're about control. Control over your time. Control over your income. Control over your future. Because when you rely on one source, you're vulnerable. One job loss, one emergency, one unexpected expense, and everything falls apart. But when you have multiple streams, you're stable, you're prepared, you're in control. And here's something powerful to understand. The goal is not to stay busy forever. The goal is to build something that eventually frees you, something that can grow beyond your time. That's why digital income, content, and scalable skills matter, because they don't just pay you once. They keep paying, again and again. But remember this, nothing changes if you don't. You can watch videos all day. You can learn strategies. You can get motivated. But if you don't take action, you stay exactly where you are. Same income, same stress, same life, and deep down, you know that's not what you want. So here's what you need to do next. Look at your situation honestly. Ask yourself, what can I start with? What skills do I have? What resources do I already own? And then use them. Don't wait for perfection. Start messy. Start small. But start. Because every successful person you see today started before they felt ready. And if you stay with this mindset, if you stay consistent, if you stay focused, your side hustle won't just be extra income. It will become your way out. Now we're getting to the level most people never reach. Because starting a side hustle is one thing, but turning it into real consistent income, that's a completely different game. This is where strategy matters. This is where discipline matters. And most importantly, this is where you separate yourself from everyone who tried and gave up. Let's talk about leverage. Because if you're just trading time for money, even in a side hustle, you're still stuck in the same system. You just created another job, and that's not the goal. The goal is to build something that grows, even when you're not working. So how do you do that? You take what works and you multiply it. For example, if you're freelancing and getting paid per task, there's a limit. You only have so many hours in a day. But if you turn that skill into a system, now everything changes. Let's say you're editing videos. Instead of just doing the work, you start documenting your process. You create templates. You create presets. You create shortcuts. Now suddenly, what took you 5 hours takes 2. That's leverage. Now take it a step further. You can teach that skill. You can sell that system. Now you're not just earning from doing. You're earning from knowing. And knowledge scales. This is exactly how people in America are quietly building wealth. Not overnight, but consistently. They're not just workers anymore. They're creators. They're problem solvers. They're builders. And builders always win in the long run. Let's talk about automation, because this is where side hustles start becoming real businesses. Think about this. If you have to be present every time money is made, you don't own a system. You own a task. And tasks don't create freedom. Systems do. So whatever side hustle you choose, ask yourself this one question. How can I make this easier, faster, or automatic? If you're selling products, can you automate listings? Can you streamline shipping? If you're creating content, can you batch record? Can you schedule posts? If you're offering services, can you create packages instead of custom work every time? These small changes turn chaos into structure, and structure creates growth. Now, let's get into something powerful. Positioning. This is the difference between someone who struggles to make $100 and someone who makes $1,000 doing the same thing. It's not always about working harder. It's about how you present what you do. In America, perception matters. People don't just buy services. They buy confidence, clarity, trust. So, if you're offering something, you need to look like someone worth paying. Clean profiles, clear descriptions, professional communication. You don't need to be perfect, but you need to be serious. Because when people see that, they treat you differently. They respect your price. They value your work. Here's another truth. Cheap work attracts cheap clients, and cheap clients bring problems. So don't race to the bottom. Don't try to be the lowest price. Be the best value. There's a difference. And once you understand that, you stop competing with everyone and start standing out. Let's talk about consistency again, because this is where almost everyone breaks. Not because they can't do the work, but because they can't stay consistent. They start strong, motivated, focused, excited, but then life happens. They get tired, they get distracted, they stop, and once they stop, it becomes harder to start again. So here's the mindset you need. You don't wait to feel motivated. You act and motivation follows. You build discipline, because discipline doesn't depend on emotions. It depends on decisions, daily decisions, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Now imagine this version of you. You wake up early. You handle your responsibilities. And then you put time into your side hustle. Not sometimes, not when you feel like it, but every single day. 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever you can give, consistently. That's how momentum builds. And momentum is everything. Because once things start moving, they become easier to maintain. Let's get real again. There will be moments where you doubt yourself. Moments where you feel like it's not working. Moments where you question everything. That's part of the process. Every person who succeeded went through that phase. The difference is they didn't stop. They adjusted. They learned. They improved. And they kept going. Now here's something most people don't realize. Your environment matters. If you're surrounded by people who don't understand what you're doing, who don't support growth, who stay comfortable, it becomes harder for you to change because energy is contagious. So you need to protect your focus, limit distractions, reduce negative influence, and spend more time learning, building, and improving, even if you have to do it alone. Because at the end of the day, this is your life, your future, your responsibility. Nobody is coming to build it for you. Nobody is going to hand you freedom. You have to create it. And the good news? You can, because the opportunities are real. The systems are real. The money is real, but only for those who take action. So right now, you have a choice. Stay where you are, or start building something better, something bigger, something that actually gives you control. And if you commit to this, if you stay disciplined, if you stay focused, you won't just have a side hustle anymore. You'll have a foundation. This is where everything comes together. Because by now, you don't just understand side hustles. You understand the bigger picture. This was never just about making extra money. It was about changing your direction. Let's be honest. Most people in America are stuck in a cycle. Wake up, go to work, come home tired. Repeat. They tell themselves, one day I'll do something more. But that day never comes because they're waiting for the right time, waiting to feel ready, waiting for something to change. But nothing changes until you do. That's why side hustles matter so much. They break that cycle. They give you a way out, not instantly, not easily, but realistically, step by step, dollar by dollar, skill by skill. Now, let's talk about what happens if you actually commit, not for a week, not for a month, but for a year. Imagine where you could be. 1 year of consistent effort. 1 year of learning, 1 year of improving. Do you understand how powerful that is? Because most people don't stay consistent for 30 days, and you're about to separate yourself by going for 365. That alone puts you ahead of the majority. Let's make it practical. If you earn just an extra $10 a day, that's $300 a month. $3,600 a year. That's not small. That's real money. Now imagine scaling that to $20 a day, $50 a day, $100 a day. Now you're not just surviving, you're building. And here's where life starts to change. Bills don't feel as heavy. Stress starts to decrease. You stop worrying about every small expense. And for the first time, you feel in control, not completely free yet, but no longer stuck. But let's go deeper, because money is just the surface. What you're really building is confidence. Confidence that you can create income. Confidence that you don't have to depend on one source. Confidence that no matter what happens, you can figure it out. And that kind of confidence, it changes everything. Now think about your future. Do you really want to rely on one job forever? Do you want your entire life controlled by a paycheck? By a schedule? By someone else's decisions? Or do you want options? Freedom. Control over your time. Control over your income. Control over your life. Because that's what this leads to. Not instantly, but eventually, if you stay consistent, if you stay focused, if you don't quit. Let's address fear, because it's there. What if I fail? What if it doesn't work? What if I waste my time? But ask yourself this instead. What if it does work? What if this one decision changes everything? What if 1 year from now, you look back and realize this was the moment your life shifted? Because that's how it happens. Not with a big announcement, not with instant success, but with a small decision. To start, here's the truth most people avoid. Doing nothing is the biggest risk. Staying the same is the biggest gamble. Because time keeps moving, prices keep rising, life keeps getting more expensive, and if your income stays the same, you fall behind. That's why this matters. That's why you can't ignore it anymore. That's why you have to move. And no, it won't be easy. You'll be tired. You'll have days where you don't feel like doing anything. You'll question yourself. But that's the price of growth. That's the cost of change. The difference is, now you know. You know what works. You know what's possible. You know where to start. So you don't have excuses anymore. Only decisions. So here's what you do from this moment. Pick your path. Freelancing, reselling, content creation, local services, digital products, whatever fits you best. But pick one and commit. Set a simple goal, not something unrealistic. Something you can actually do. Maybe it's making your first $50. Maybe it's getting your first client. Maybe it's posting content for 30 days straight. Start there. Build from there. Track your progress. Stay consistent. Improve every day. And most importantly, don't stop. Because if you don't quit, you win. It's that simple. Not easy, but simple. And one day, you won't be watching videos like this anymore. You'll be living it. You'll be the one with multiple income streams. You'll be the one people ask for advice. You'll be the one who broke the cycle. But it all depends on what you do next. Right now, after this video ends. So don't just feel motivated. Take action. Because motivation fades. But action creates results. Your future is waiting. The only question is, are you finally ready to build it?